What's going on, y'all? We're back with another reaction video. Today we have the running back problem by Brett Coleman. My solution, everybody. If it's about money, I say for them to go to the XFL or the USFL, CFL. I didn't think about that. Just thought about it, but hey, if it's about money, but I know there's more to it than that. So we're gonna go ahead and check this video out. I hope Brett enlightens me and I learn some stuff in this vid about running backs and the running back market.
Anarchy in the National Football League.
You're sending a bad look and a message to your team saying, we know we don't give a bleep about the running back.
We talking about some of the top players in the league.
I ain't gonna lie. I understood Jim Irsay from a business perspective, but if you break it down, just like coming up in this video, Austin Eckler is gonna say something about I should be getting paid more than backup receivers. They got a good point. Running backs have a very good point. There should be no I'm not gonna say that. It just depends on the impact of the player to the offense that they're in. But there shouldn't be a backup getting paid more than a starter, realistically. Especially if it's a starting running back, like legit #1 running back. He gets the most carries on his team, making Pro Bowls, All Pros, whatever that be. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Did you say Dalvin Cook is an Eagle? Oh, are you trolling? Okay.
Some of the backup receivers out here that are still making more than me, that's going to piss me off.
Teams are increasingly aware that they can get comparable production from younger players on cost-controlled contracts.
The only guys complaining were other running backs. It wasn't.
Jonathan Taylor.
Running back is the only position where you.
I'm curious what's about to happen with Jonathan Taylor.
We take you off and we drive you.
Bro.
Your value goes down.
You're literally looking at the.
I'm gonna just let it rock.
And you're
Sorry for the lag, y'all. I'm gonna just let it rock. Let it do what it do.
ignoring it at your discretion.
Let me get right to it. Running backs are getting screwed over by the National Football League. It ain't right. It ain't right.
It ain't right.
We apparently need to have a conversation about running back contracts now.
All right, Brett, educate me, bro. Educate me.
Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard.
Is it loud enough? Nah, it's low.
Well, and they've all gotten a little. The way you might have noticed that is not LA in the background behind me. I'm actually on travel right now. I'm visiting EJ up in Washington so that we can finish off our
pretty cool looking setup.
Episode-long podcast series covering every single team and every single division, getting all of you ready for the 2023 season.
Interesting.
So if you're interested in exceptionally nerdy scheme talk, that's why I haven't been releasing very many videos over here, is because I've been releasing something every single day over on the Bootleg Football channel. So, yeah, a couple more divisions to go. That's why we're recording it from here. And, yeah, go check that out if you want to. But anyway, back to running backs. And spoiler alert, by the way, I do actually have a practical solution to this problem that could probably solve it for every single team.
Let's hear it.
Because there
is
a cap mechanism that exists that we can exploit, for lack of a better word, in order to get everybody paid without.
Did JT get hurt? I don't know what's up with JT right now. Maybe I know he's coming back from injury, but I don't know the full issue right now.
It would make GMs happy, owners happy, but most importantly of all, it'd make the fans happy. So there is a way to fix this, but before I get into that, I need to set up a bunch of context.
I don't know about that, dude.
How we got here and how contracts as they are now actually work. Let's start at the beginning. Every single running back in the league is pissed. They feel like they're being underpaid relative to the amount that they produce and due to the amount of punishment they have.
You know what? Instead of calling it running back, you could just call it, you could call it flex. I mean, I know it's a fantasy term, but I mean, legitimately, if the player is playing receiver and running back or whatever other position, that's their title, then, I mean, I don't know. Okay, I tried. But Derrick Henry said get rid of the running back position. Rename the position. You know? Try to, yeah.
They have to take to
flex back.
That production.
You know?
And to be totally honest, they are right to be pissed. They are underpaid to a degree. You've got receivers now making 25, 27,
30 mil.
likely soon to be 30 or more $million per year, while top running backs are making at absolutely most half of that, and usually now only about a quarter to a third.
That's crazy. I mean, nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I think both of them players are future Hall of Famers. So for them to be getting, that's a huge gap.
All while those running backs get 3 or 4 times the amount of touches as those same receivers, and by extension, take 3 or 4 times the amount of hits every year.
That hit on Pacheco was
Careers
crazy.
are shorter and more damaging, and they make a lot less money, despite on more than one occasion being the entire heart and soul of their offense. Would the Titans have gone on their AFC Championship run without?
No way Derek's saying that with no hands. I mean, you could put Derek in the top tier of running backs, and then, you know, like I said, you could have a flex position. Have flex guys, and they their own, you know, little category or whatever.
Derrick Henry? Absolutely not. Would the Giants
These positions should be paid a certain amount of money.
Last year without Saquon? Also, probably.
I think
not.
it's about player,
Going back
like
in
the
recent
players
history,
specifically,
during
like their
peak Arian
value.
Foster years in Houston, the Texans' offense could not function without him. And in that same era, the
Foster,
early
man,
2010s
he was
Vikings
tough.
were almost entirely reliant on Adrian
AP
Peterson
was
being,
tough.
well, himself, or else the entire offense was
My favorite running back all time.
water. There are so many examples of
Really between
teams
him and
around the
Barry.
NFL needing a top running back in order to really operate at their peak efficiency. And when teams have an elite back, it really does make a difference. But here's the problem. Even though there are not that many elite running backs running around the NFL in any given year, usually there's a lot of really good ones. And a really good running back that costs $3 to $5 million on a mid-tier deal, or maybe even a first-round rookie contract, if they can just get 80% of the production of that elite back despite costing maybe a third of the price, from both an analytics and financial perspective, going with the cheaper running back that is good rather than great is honestly the better option. And that doesn't even factor in the rookie wage scale for day 3 picks at running back, which causes a whole new set of headaches for veterans because every single draft class usually injects several new good young backs into the league that cost a lot less than $3 to $5 million on their rookie deals, while again still producing at a 70% or better rate to the top tier backs. Take Tyler Algier last year with the Falcons as an example. He was a top 15 running back in the league in terms of production last year with over 1,000 yards behind a dominant run blocking line in Atlanta, all while having a dirt cheap contract by NFL standards that only pays him $998,472 per year. If you compare Algier's contract to, say, Nick Chubb, who's not even all the way at the top of the running back market himself, by the way, he's only at about 3/4 of what Christian McCaffrey's being paid, but $12.2 million is still a solid chunk of cash. Well, if you look at the second half of last season,
This makes me so curious to see the contracts of the receivers in the NFL. Like, I'm very curious. I think this website has a spot track. Computer is just really annoying me right now how slow it's going. Was it this one? No. This is not the website I'm looking for. Oh, can I see? Trending players. I want to see the players. See contracts, active contracts by position. The contracts by position. I'm just curious. Let's see. All positions. I want to see who's making more than Nick Chubb. Where am I at? Our receiver. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Okay, Nick Chubb and Christian McCaffrey. So where is it? Annual average salary right here. Algier did all that for the Falcons just to draft Bijan. That's crazy. I mean, like, it's not a bad idea to draft Bijan because of how good he is, but I feel like it would have been smarter to try to pick a generational talent at another position. I mean, what's y'all thoughts? Top 5 favorite running backs is McCoy, Lynch, Gurley, Berry, and AP. That's interesting. Very interesting. Happy late birthday. Appreciate it, Scott. Thank you, man. Okay. That's tough. Terry McLaurin making $22 million a year. Debo $23 million. DJ Moore $20 million. As an individual player, only a few of these guys I would take over. Like just as an individual football player, it's only a few of these guys I take over Nick Chubb. Chris Godwin, Mike Williams, $20 million. Amari Cooper, $20 million. Deontay Johnson, $18 million. Oh my gosh. Christian Kirk, $18 million. Tyler Lockett, $17 million. Mike Evans, Hunter Renfrow is making more money than Nick Chubb and making the same amount as Christian McCaffrey. Allen Robinson making more than Nick Chubb. Courtland Sutton, Corey Davis. I like some of these receivers, and that's big facts. But this is crazy. This is crazy. My guy Brandon Cooks making $19 million for one season. I did not know that. That's crazy. OBJ crazy. They pay OBJ for the potential. For the potential in the name. That's really tough. Let me see. Running backs. Who else is on here? That's tough. Alvin Kamara is the highest paid running back right now. How did he do that? I don't remember that. So C-Mac. Derrick Henry's only making $12 million. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. She is taking a straight up pay cut. Oh wow. Saquon making 10 is crazy. I see why they frustrated. I definitely see it. I didn't know it was like this. Austin Eckler making $6 million. Wow, he got 4 years left on his contract. Josh Jacobs $10 million. Yeah, that's crazy. That's definitely crazy. And they have some good arguments too. They definitely have good arguments to fight their case. Cordell Patterson, realistically, he should be making more than $5 million a year based off his production from the last. I ain't gonna say last season, but the season prior. Like, if that would have been a contract year for him, oh man, I would have tried to reconstructure. But I mean, he probably a team guy. Etienne, he got 4 years left on his contract. Is this how much? Yeah, years. Is it? I wonder if is this years left or total years of the contract. That's tough. Ooh. All right, let's continue this.
After Algier really asserted himself as the starter in Atlanta, he was actually outproducing Chubb on the ground while making only 8% of the money that Chubb is. Yes,
8%
Chubb
is
the
crazy.
better running back, and if I had to pick one to be on my team, it'd be him. And so is Bijan Robinson, by the way, who the Falcons just drafted to start ahead of Algier this year. He's also better and also will make more money than Algier.
I'm looking forward to see what Brett's solution
is.
Dispute
that Bijan and Nick are better players. But the fact that teams can go cheap at running back and
what they gonna have to do
and Algier
is probably drop how much they pay receivers to make it feel equal. They have to lower how much they pay receivers. But again, if a player's requesting that much money and a team wants to pay them, hey,
combined
but they probably will have a his idea probably is to have a cap. I'm just speculating. His idea probably is to have a cap at every position, and the best players can make the most, but it's like it's a cap. Like they get paid based off of production. I don't know.
Rate for a top back, that means they can allocate their salary cap elsewhere for years and years and years on end while still having very productive running games. and that's a problem for elite veteran backs. Not only do those veterans have to compete for work with cheap rookies like Algier, who can do 80% of the job for 8% of the money, but they also have to compete with guys like Bijan, who might be just as good as them and do 100% of the job, but still for a hell of a lot less money than top backs are asking for on the open market, because Robinson costs a little under $5.5 million, while the top 5 running backs in terms of pay average $13.4 million. By the time veteran running backs get to free agency these days, usually they're in their 5th, 6th, or sometimes even 7th season in Saquon's case, because he had 5 years on that rookie deal, plus this 6th year, which is technically the tag year, and then he's maybe going to be a free agent next year. But by year 7, that's 6, and I'm
curious what's going to
minimum
happen.
Of 6 more draft classes for Saquon that have since come into the league that are just pumping the NFL full of younger, cheaper, and still dynamic backs that are all under cost-controlled contracts. And, oh, by the way, that 7th year for veteran backs is usually right around when their prime of production is starting to tail off. So their best seasons are, again, usually already behind them, which means their best leverage in negotiations is already behind them. So quite frankly, at the end of the day, NFL owners have zero incentive to pay these veterans because they can just draft new guys and keep the cycle going forever and ever and ever. It's Moneyball, but unfortunately Moneyball in the NFL really, really screws the running back position in particular. But as I said earlier, I do
Najee a monster,
a
dog.
solution to this, because just because GMs don't have an incentive to sign running backs right now doesn't mean that we can't create that incentive in order to remedy this situation for the future. And no, before you even think about it, I'm not talking about having shorter contracts for rookie running backs and having them hit free agency a year earlier.
I thought that would be one of the
absolute
things.
Nightmare to try to enforce from the NFLPA's perspective. Teams would abuse the absolute shit out of that rule for players like Debo that are kind of like hybrid receivers / running backs. And for
But Debo came in as a receiver,
so running
so
back side of the spectrum than receiver, they could just draft them as a receiver to get the extra contract length and then use them as a running back anyway. It would just be
Player could hold out,
nightmare
so.
to enforce, and nobody wants that. So no, I'm not talking about contract lengths.
So-
Instead, my proposal that benefits all position groups, but especially benefits running backs the most, is let's create a new salary cap rule where
Okay.
if a player is franchise tagged and then signs an extension either before the tag deadline or in the following free agency period after the tagged season, all contract bonuses that fall under the likely to be earned category do not count towards the salary cap at all, and all bonuses that are unlikely to be earned only count 50% towards the cap of the following year. Now, if you don't know what a likely to be earned or unlikely to be earned bonus is, don't worry, it's relatively simple, and I'll use Saquon as our example here just because he's the biggest name that's been caught up in all
I didn't
this
know that
right
was a
now.
thing.
But you can use this same line of thinking for Jonathan Taylor or Jacobs or Pollard or whoever. Last year, Barkley gained 1,650 yards from scrimmage. If he has a contract incentive for another year of 1,650 rushing and receiving yards combined, because he hit that number in 2022, that bonus is considered likely to be earned. If he did not hit for 1,650 yards in 2022, then it would have been considered not likely to be earned. As it stands now, likely to be earned bonuses count towards the current year's cap because, again, they are likely to be earned, and if the player does not reach those milestones, then the team basically gets a refund to their cap space a year later because the player did not hit their incentive. By contrast, of course, not likely to be earned bonuses do not count towards this year's cap because they're not likely, but if they are reached, then they will count towards next year's cap because the player hit their target number. What I'm proposing is that likely to be earned bonuses do not count as a cap hit at all for franchise tag players, and that is only on the contract they signed after they're tagged. So a consistent 1,600-yard producer that gets the tag as an elite running back, like, say, Saquon, he can just keep hitting 1,600 a year and get paid a big-ass bonus every season with no extra hit to their team's cap. So the Giants are incentivized to keep him around because he's getting elite production for a lot less
I'm
money.
curious if this is
And
a
he
thing
has
right
an
now. Is this
especially
going on
big
in
year
NFL?
23 and both runs and
Bonuses
receivers for a
don't
total
count
of,
towards the cap
let's say 1,800
in
yards
some way?
to trigger an unlikely to be earned bonus for $4 million more, then it only counts by half. So it's only a $2 million hit not a $4 million hit.
He can if he's healthy,
Now,
doesn't
small
he?
caveat here, in order to prevent teams from also abusing the absolute shit out of this rule by stuffing every last dollar of the contract into cap-free bonuses, is that in order to qualify for those cap-free bonuses, the minimum average annual cash salary, meaning the salary that's on the books, has to be equivalent to the cap number of that position group the year that it's signed. What this structure would allow teams like the Giants to do for Saquon specifically is they can offer him a deal after tagging him that pays him $10.1 million a year in salary, which is the current tag number for running back, but then, like I said, also have the ability to build in a likely to be earned bonus for getting 1,600 yards from scrimmage, which he did do last year. And again, that can give him, let's say, $6 million more to get him up to CMC's number without any extra cap penalty. And then on top of that, also having the unlikely to be earned bonus for that aforementioned 1,800 yards from scrimmage, which he did not do last year. And that could trigger for him to get another $4 million that could give Barkley $20 million in real cash going into his bank account, but it would only cost the Giants roughly $12 million in cap space. This structure, in my opinion, is a win for everybody because elite backs like Barkley could get their pay effectively doubled just by producing like we normally expect them to produce, so they're heavily incentivized to keep going. And the teams themselves are also heavily incentivized to give these types of contracts out because, well, they could get elite production from elite players without paying elite money. Not to mention, a nice little byproduct of this structure is that mid-tier players are not going to get tagged as often because teams aren't going to want to pay that salary floor that's equivalent to the tag number for multiple years, which ultimately means that those mid-tier players are going to hit the market more often, which then drives up the prices for not just mid-tier players themselves, but also for the elite tier players that want to get paid more than they do. You look at what happened to the receiver market after Christian Kirk got his bag, and, well,
This should be
that
fire.
ripple effect a lot more often, which
This is
for
good
everybody.
in my
Or at
opinion.
least-
I think it'd be good for a player to, any running back, to look at this and, you know, possibly use this as an argument in their negotiation, use this as actual stipulations to their contract. I think it's good.
Good for the players. So to recap, GMs and
It's
cap
different than
guys
what
are
I
happy
expected.
because they can pay bonuses to their core players like Saquon.
I know it has something to do with cap, but
penalty.
I didn't,
Owners are happy because they can keep
didn't know
selling
specifically.
jerseys and putting butts in seats to see those star players in the first place. The tagged players, running backs especially, are
This I
happy
feel like
because
it's not
they can
really
get a
up to
ton
the
more money,
owners. This would
and
be
the
up
rest-
to the players to negotiate it. So if a player can negotiate these bonuses into their contract, then they got it. It's all it take. I feel like is for one player to get it done, and then if one team go for it, then they can do it. Like it's very possible.
The rest of the locker room is happy because less of them ultimately will get tagged too.
But
unless
basically,
they
you just add bonuses into the player contract. So you give Saquon a $10 million contract. You put a bonus in there that's saying, all right, next year, if I hit 1,600 all-purpose yards, I get an extra $6 million on my contract. No, you get an extra. What did he say? Yeah, he said $6 million. So because you're likely to do that because you did it last year, that bonus is $6 million. A harder bonus to achieve, which would be an extra $4 million, would be him getting 1,800 yards, which would be which would total the contract out to $20 million. His base contract is $10.1 million. A likely to be earned bonus. Hey, if I get 1,600 yards again this year, y'all give me an extra $6 million. If I get 1,800 yards this year, on top of that $6 million, y'all give me an extra $4 million. So it'll make his contract $20 million. If you don't get the 1,800, it's gonna make his contract $16 million, which still puts him up there with the highest paid running back. But it's just based on it makes his contract more performance based rather than just with the rest of the market. And then what the franchise tag does, the franchise tag pays them the average of the top players of their position. So if one of them players can crack 20 million in a season, then that boosts up the average for the running backs, and that boosts up the whole running back market altogether. So that's to sum that up. Which franchise QB would you rather have, Burrow or Allen?
Making a lot of cash anyway. Oh, and the fans are also going to be happier too because they won't have to deal with all these holdouts anymore. So there's that too. Now, the elephant in the room here. Do I ever think that anything like this actually will get passed? Probably not. Because as we know by now, Giants fans are not allowed to have nice things. But I do genuinely hope that eventually we get
It has to
something
get passed.
like
I feel like
this,
a player can negotiate that.
as
Why
sad
couldn't
as
they?
it is, something like this might be the only way for veteran running backs to ever actually get paid what they're worth. I wish it was different. I wish the market was not the way that the market is.
It's like those are negotiable
But it
terms.
is what it is. So if we want these guys to get paid, something like this has to be done. In my opinion, it's the only option.
Lamar or Herbert, I feel like that just depends on the coach.
I was struggling to figure out
Yeah,
how to
it
end
just
this
depends on the
video
coach.
because I was supposed to put a mid-roll ad read in the middle of this thing, and I felt like that was going to disrupt the flow and make it a much worse YouTube viewing experience, so I didn't do that. And now I just have an ad read hanging on the end of this episode. So I'm going to make you a deal. In exchange for me not making your YouTube experience worse and having an ad read at the end rather than in the middle, I want you to watch this really sexy slow-mo B-roll that I shot of all this Factor food, and I want you to ask yourself one question.
I thought he was about to
Is
ask
this
for a
stuff
like.
better than what I normally bring into work for my lunch break? The answer may or may not be yes, but just ask yourself if a really fresh, really tasty meal that's made from real ingredients and can be heated up in 2 minutes, is that something that you're interested in? There's dozens of different types of meals to pick from. They sent me a black pepper and sage pork chop last week as an example. I also had some cheesy bacon ranch shredded chicken that was unreasonably good for a microwave meal. There's beef bowls, there's
my brother-
shrimp and salmon,
my brother gets
and
those.
different types of pastas. There's vegetarian food and stuff with lots of protein. Whatever you can think of for whatever your dietary preferences are, they've got it, and it's all delicious and convenient and delivered right to your door so that you don't have to bother with grocery shopping for midday meals just to get you through the day.
AP
That's
for
really the
sure.
main selling point here. It's just good food that you can eat really fast on days that you don't have time to eat really good food. That's it. Like that's all they do. So if you feel like you're missing something like that in your life to make your life a little bit more convenient and maybe a little bit healthier, just try out Factor. That's all you got to do. And if you want a promo code to make it cheaper so that it's a little bit more painless to try it out, especially on your first box, you can use promo code FilmRoom50 at Factor75.com. That'll give you a 50% discount on that first box so that you
I'm
can
gonna give
try
bro a
it,
like on the vid because I'm not
as
gonna buy
easily
it.
and as cheaply as you possibly can. Again, that is promo code FilmRoom50 at Factor75.com for a 50% discount on your first box.
All right,
And,
GG's.
yeah, just give it a whirl. See if it.
I like the idea. I definitely like the idea. I think it's negotiable. I don't know. I don't understand why that had to be something to be passed. I think you can negotiate that. But y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Hit that like button, subscribe, stay tuned. Hey. Bless.
You done messed up, Aaron!
Ain't no need to play games. I'm cool with zeros on the stat sheet. I don't care if you knew Patrick Mahomes. Them lies you tellin' won't get past me. If it's meant to be, I'm not gonna ask for a second chance. I'm only gonna ask you once after that, then it's out my hands. I'm not gonna question, just accept it, part of God's plan.